There's a phase where you stop resonating with endings and beginnings because you're no longer living in chapters. I want to talk about why the new year didn't register for me, what it means when continuity replaces reinvention, how to recognize when you're no longer in reset cycles, and why not feeling a beginning of something can actually be a massive sign of alignment. I just want to clarify from the start that I am not talking about burnout, I'm not talking about avoidance, certainly not talking about plateauing or giving up on growth. There's actually something much simpler happening. This is a phase in life where there's no rupture to recover from, no identity to rebuild, and there's no urgency demanding a reset. When stability arrives for us, the mind doesn't get the same dramatic cues that it's used to. We often think of the new year as a time for reinvention, a time to set new goals. We use it as a signal to create momentum and signal a new chapter. When that doesn't happen anymore, it can sometimes feel like something's missing. But it's not energy that's missing. It's discontinuity that's missing. Because when you've already dismantled your old survival identities and adaptations and false urgency that came with it, there's literally nothing to reset really ever again. You find as you move through life from here on out that the calendar will continue to change, but you won't in that way. You'll probably notice that your sense of self didn't shift overnight, your priorities didn't scramble, your direction didn't wobble, and your energy didn't spike, but your knowing stayed intact. That is literally the opposite of stagnation. That is continuity. That is stabilization. You are not beginning, you're already inhabiting. And I actually think that this is where a lot of people quietly sabotage themselves. Because there's this pressure. We think, oh, well, it's a new year, I should get into shape. I should start something new. I should feel inspired. I should have more energy. Or I should use this moment better. But the thing is those shoulds and that thinking in general belongs to an old operating system. That is where survival and urgency live. Everything from that way of being revolved around pressure, something that just doesn't apply anymore. So forcing it is not going to help you. It's just going to reactivate a cycle that you've already outgrown. Absolutely nothing needs to be imposed. We're moving away from the realm of what am I starting this year and into what have I already started that I'm now steady and stable enough to maintain. That's still movement, by the way, but it looks more like refinement rather than reinvention, continuation or deepening rather than expansion, tending rather than chasing or pursuing, and structure rather than urgency. You're not behind because nothing kicked off. You're actually ahead because nothing needed to. For me, this phase just feels very quiet, honestly less emotional, less dramatic, more grounded, more structured. It truly feels like I've walked through a threshold and into this entirely different way of being, where time operates differently, where I interact with time and I interact with cycles in a very, very different way. I resonate or identify with my growth in a very different way. It's no longer measured by these cycles that are imposed upon us. Of course, I also have goals for myself. There's no urgency around them. There are things that I'm going to do because they're just a byproduct of how I'm living and operating now. Those things feel inevitable. They don't feel like something I am pushing from a place of fear or pressure. So if the new year didn't quite start for you either, I promise you didn't miss anything. It could just mean that you've also already crossed the threshold, or that you also no longer live in resets, or that your system is already oriented forward without needing rupture. Continuity is not a lack of growth. It's what growth looks like when it's integrated. What's something that's already been in motion for you that you don't need to restart? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.